I'm Jun Zhang, Vice President of Huawei Asia Pacific Public Affairs and Communications. I'd like to start with the story of talent at Huawei. In 2018, a Cambodian girl, Lim Hour, was selected into Huawei's flagship talent program, Seeds for the Future. In Shenzhen, she explored modern technology through expert trainings and lab visits. In Beijing, she got immersed with cross-cultural experiences and met with Cambodian ambassador to China. 2 years later, in 2020, after her graduation, Lim Hour came back to us, this time as a staff member at Huawei Cambodia. And guess what? She is now taking charge of the SEEDS program in the country. Looking back, Lim Hour said SEEDS for the Future in the year of 2018 is a golden opportunity and a turning point of her life. Lim Hour's journey with Huawei started from SEEDS for the Future, and now, as a SEEDS coordinator, she is bringing more and more SEEDS to Huawei and the world of technology in large. SEEDS for the Future was first launched in Thailand in 2008. By the end of 2021, the program has been implemented in 150 countries and regions, reaching 12,000 students from over 500 universities. Moreover, in 2021, Huawei and ASEAN Foundation joined hands to launch the ASEAN SEEDS for the Future chapter. The regional partnership strives to build a digital community across the region. From August 19 to August 27, working with ASEAN Foundation and the Tourism Authority of Thailand, our Asia Pacific will launch our very first regional on-site SEEDS for the Future event in Thailand. 118 top students, pre-selected across the region, will gather in Thailand for a 9-day training full of tech talks, cultural tours, and eye-opening workshops. This time, Lim Hour will bring 10 SEEDS from Cambodia and Laos to Thailand and support them along the way. Moreover, working in different teams, the SEEDS will propose technical solutions to solve social problems in Tech for Good projects. Outstanding teams will get into an accelerator camp in Singapore for 1 week, where they will meet up with top-notch entrepreneurs and investors. Meanwhile, seeking opportunities to further develop and bring their ideas to market. Spoiler alert, the legendary investor Jim Rogers will join us on site. Stay tuned for more updates. This story of Lim Hour is just one of many examples of Huawei creating opportunities and establishing platforms for talents to grow and succeed. Through multiple programs including Huawei ASEAN Academy and SEEDS for the Future, by the end of 2021, we have trained over 170,000 ICT talents in Asia Pacific, and we pledge $50 million to cultivate a total of 500,000 talents by 2026. I really like the idea of SEEDS for the Future. This essentially captures the spirit of talent cultivation at Huawei. We don't take actions by calculating the harvest we reap. What we care most is to sow the seeds and invest in the future. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the SEEDS who are coming to our program in August. Enjoy the beauty of technology and culture. Think hard, dream wild, and go for it. Together, you will create something beyond your imagination. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Future Powered Forum presented by Huawei Technologies. I'm Janet C. Salazar, President and Executive Chairman of the Foundation for the Support of the United Nations and a permanent representative to the Economic and Social Council at the United Nations. And I will be your host for Session 1 of the forum titled Seeds of the Future with a Vision for Talent Cultivation in the Technology Industry. This session will be highlighted by debates among the speakers on a very important and interesting topic. But before we go ahead and dive into the Session 1 debate, what is Seeds for the Future program? Seeds for the Future is Huawei's corporate social responsibility flagship program, through which Huawei works with local governments and higher education institutions to give top students opportunities to receive technology and cross-cultural trainings, and create a community for bright talents who show great interest in technology, regardless of their country or culture. This year's Asia Pacific Seeds for the Future 2022 is Huawei's very first regional on-site Seeds for the Future event. It is a very exciting program, and we wish you all young participants the best of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Welcome to Future Powered Forum Session 1, where I'm joined by three of today's young and extremely talented speakers who will be debating and sharing with us their insights and takes on the overall topic, which is this. It is generally believed that the cultivation of scientific and technological talents rests in the efforts of the government and academic institutions. But in fact, real scientific and technological talents grow once they are exposed outside of these traditional pathways and are given the opportunities to work on actual real-life projects. And majority of these opportunities are provided by tech companies. So here's the question. Is the participation of tech companies in the training of scientific and technological talents the most conducive way to cultivating the creativity and innovation of young people? Why or why not? Joining us from London is Dr. Anne-Marie Imafidon, founder and CEO of STEMITS, a social initiative dedicated to inspiring the next generation of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. She is a British computing, mathematics, and language child prodigy. Welcome, Anne-Marie. Our next speaker joining us from Bangladesh is Shadmin Sultana, a third-year student majoring in electrical and electronics engineering, University of Dhaka. Welcome, Shadmin. And finally, our third speaker joining us from Germany, who hails from Indonesia, is Anak Agung Krishna Ananda Kusuma, third-year student majoring in electrical engineering, Universitas Indonesia. Welcome, Krishna. Anne-Marie, let's start with you. You have been such an inspiring trailblazer and a relentless champion for cultivating more girls and women in STEM and overall pushing the boundaries for diversity and inclusion in the tech industry. Please share us your thoughts about the topic.
When we think about the way that knowledge is being generated, is being created, is being shared, and we think about, what the education sector is set up for and how curriculums work, what we've seen as our model that works very well is bringing together those tech companies where problems are being solved, where there are lots of investments as well that's going into innovation. And so actually, if we're saying this debate of one versus the other, I think from where I'm sat, a lot more of that innovation, a lot more of that drive, a lot more of that progress is happening in the private sector in a way that, in an ideal world, yes, the education sector should definitely be driving that knowledge and that innovation. But if you don't have the right resources, if you don't have the right kind of priorities, and if you're built as a system for lots of people that is about slow, that is about systemic, that is about the whole and taking, all the population of a country with you, then you can't be as nimble or as agile as what we need in order to be at the forefront of innovation, of, being iterative, of changing things, of making them happen, and of truly stretching, the boundaries of what we know is true. So, that's my initial, the setting out my stall as someone that works in this space and has done it for the last 10 years. The real movement has happened and has been driven by private sector and technology companies, much, much more than the education sector could hope to have done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anne-Marie. And I'll circle back with you later for more follow-up questions, especially your journey with STEMITS and all that you do in advancing women and girls in STEM. Shadmin, would you like to share us your thoughts on the topic, please?
I do agree with Anne-Marie to an extent, but I feel like the contribution of educational institutions shouldn't be overlooked, because it's like they provide the basics. So like if you want to learn something like at the primary level, you're learning 2 plus 2, you're learning that. But then if you don't know that, how are you going to apply it into the world? So in that sense, I'd say educational institutions are important as well. But there also comes a limitation to that, because I feel like educational institutions really just provide you with stuff in theory, and maximum it goes to is just application of that on paper. The real life world is pretty different compared to that. Science in real life is pretty different. So like if you're not equipped with how the real life world runs or it works, it can be a little difficult to understand or work there once you're done with your let's say schooling. Out of my own curiosity, I did look up some numbers, yes, and I was pretty surprised to find that 60% of like the world's companies these days say that like when they look for young talents, they're surprised as well to find that a lot of them are not very well equipped with knowledge regarding real life situations. Why would they be? Because these students or these young talents, they haven't really faced that. They haven't faced the familiarity of that situation. They haven't had to solve real life problems. So I think that's where the issue lies. It's that there's no real life experience. However, at the same time, these companies thought, okay, well, if they don't have real life experience, why don't we go for vocational training? Just to set these people up with like a more overall round experience. But even there, they faced the problem that if you did that and their base wasn't that strong, in the long term, it did have adverse effects. And this is due to like not having a good foundation or base from your education. So in that sense, I think this is where the intersection comes in. So in that case, I think, yeah, it's a 50-50, honestly.
Thank you, Shodmin, for pointing out especially the intersection of the two. Krishna, any thoughts on our topics, please?
Well, as Shodmin has said about educational institution, it provides the basics so that when it gets to the real world or in companies, it have the basic knowledge to solve the problems. And so just want to say, don't forget the role of universities. And universities also currently try to solve the problem in the talent gap that is happening currently. And one of the things that it do is to fix the curriculum, right? And because the situation right now is different, where the rate of change of digital transformation grows even faster than ever before, it's quite challenging for the educational institution to cope with that transformation. And that's where the tech companies can help educational institutions so that it can provide a better graduates.
Thank you, Krishna. That's very insightful. I'll circle back again with you later for more follow-up questions in connection to what you just shared. Anne-Marie, let's go back to you. You have been doing a lot, like I said earlier, with your platform and being so vocal globally about the importance of women and girls in pursuing STEM careers, etc. And still sticking to your opinion earlier and your stance. What do you think has helped move the needle so far in the industry? From the private sector and tech companies or ICT industries space, what has helped move the needle in terms of equipping our talents with innovation and creativity?
So I think when we think about moving the needle, it's folks that have seen these problems, have prioritized the problems, and have said, we're going to invest in ensuring that we can have talent, whatever it looks like, not only joining our organization and researching alongside us and developing alongside us, but also that they can thrive in our environments and that we can, take advantage of their innovation. And then a couple of years later have learnt about, what it means to really move the needle on progressing and really being innovative, and have ended up, not taking in this new talent, taking in this new startup and making it be like the older company and like the existing, but they've ended up saying, okay, cool, there's things that we can learn from this new talent. There's new perspectives, there's new ways of working, there's new, even horizons and working in a more agile way and having sprints. I think we're still seeing that actually we're not seeing the right kind of progress there in order for true innovation that comes from difference, right? That comes from valuing different perspectives, that comes from genuinely having not groupthink, but diversity of thought, via diversity of people, via diversity of training, via diversity of discipline. We work, like you said, with thousands of young people. I myself have come from a really unique, child prodigy background into this space to work on this. And there are still so many spaces that I go into where, the thought of someone being a single parent, or the thought of someone having an arts background, or the thought of someone being just slightly different ends up being squashed and isn't valued, and they almost end up being chased away or feeling like it's not somewhere that they belong and not a conversation that they can meaningfully contribute to. And so those that are moving the needle are the ones that are able to switch that view of success and broaden that view of what good looks like and what innovation looks like, in order to ensure that the innovations that we're making are not just for a small few and not just from a small bit of perspectives, but are actually future-proofed and actually have diversity considered and inclusion considered and equitable practice as well. So then it's true innovation that's solving more problems than it creates.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Real thoughts on that. And I love that you pointed out the importance of intentional investing. I think that really has to be more mainstream in terms of the companies, right? ICT companies, intentional investing. I love that those two words very much. What to you remains challenging and need to drastically change? If we are to keep the momentum on these elements that has moved the needle so far.
So I think what needs to drastically change is management and how we manage, and to your point about investment, how we make our investment decisions. I think we still have something where it's seen as niche, it's seen as a sideshow, this idea of including different people and evolving, the idea of success. And so I think what really needs to change is the way that the industry is managed, what we reward, where we spend those dollars or spend, that currency. I think we need to definitely evolve what good management looks like. We need to evolve how we represent value and how we reward value and what we count as valuable. I think that needs to be changed.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. That's so insightful and very helpful, of course. Brilliantly pointed out in terms of really keywords such as fundamental change, management, and leadership. I'll go back to you again, a couple of questions more for you, but thank you again. And this time should mean. I'd like you to tell us more about your journey as an outstanding alumnus of the game-changing program, Huawei Seeds for the Future. Specifically, how the program impacted your life and those around you, and as a follow-up to that, what has inspired you, and have impacted your life since you took the ICT route?
Okay, so if I were to sum up my experience, I'd say this all really felt like a really daring adventure to me, because I'm someone that's not really, open to taking new experiences that bring me out of my comfort zone. I'm like, oh, I have to stay in. But I thought I should change that. There's no real reason I thought that, but I thought, okay, let's go for it. And I think the Seeds for the Future program really helped me do that. And I think it's because starting from all the preliminary interviews to meeting new people to forming a team with those people that I'd never met before, I think that was challenging, but at the same time fun, because if I bring something back from Anne-Marie's statement, that this difference in thought, there was value there. Like for the first time, I'd felt that no, I think if I voice out my opinion, it's going to be heard and it's not going to be redundant or useless. And it's actually was because I am a person that was born after the 2000s. So you'd expect me to be tech savvy, but in my childhood, it really wasn't. So after this thing, after I joined this program, I learned so much. I learned how far techs really come. Like I still remember when internet connection at home was dial-up, and now 5G is like literally right over the horizon. So I'm like, wow, look at how fast it's grown.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And I'll go back with you with a couple of questions as a follow-up again. Krishna, let's come to you.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the Huawei Seeds for the Future program for me is basically a game changer. So because as Anne-Marie said, it provides the young talents with the right management, right leadership skills, and new technologies. So basically it's already included in one package, and by that it really helps the young talents to really understand the real world problems. And basically what it connects the program between the educational institution and the tech companies is is very important, basically, because in educational institution we really develop our basic skills, basic knowledge, just the introduction on what the real world looks like. But by having tech companies to provide with such program, we can leverage our knowledge so that we really understand not only from the basic perspective of universities, but also the real world problems where the tech companies is the real player here in the market, right? So that is basically my thoughts.
Great, thank you so much. And so as a follow-up, why do you think, I know you've mentioned a bit of this earlier, but I want you to expound on it. Why do you think should we have more talent cultivating programs in the ICT industry, such as Huawei's Seeds for the Future program?
Okay, so as I said before, this program really leverage the knowledge of young students who are basically, when they just stay in the university, they really don't know what is the real problems out there, because in universities we are only mostly taught about the textbook problems. But when we get into the real problems, we barely, I think, met with those same problems, rather than more like problem solving skills that we are need to develop. So those skills is the one that we can get by joining this ICT talent programs.
Very well pointed out. Thank you, Krishna, and we'll get back to you in a while. Xiaomin, what do the talents need to thrive and grow, and what are the key external support and resources available that they can leverage to maximize their potential, both from the educational and the ICT industry's space?
Yeah, well, I think what they can really utilize is, fundamental things that are taught in schools and institutions. I think that's really important for them to grasp on. And one other thing that I think is, I don't know if it's exactly the right thing to say, but I think it's people just learn to be more efficient in solving problems, because I feel like these days, as the tech world grows bigger, one problem is solved, and yes, like Anne-Marie said, perhaps someone is solving one problem, but at the same time 5 more pop up. So if like talents these days can learn that, if they can learn to take the short way instead of the long way, which can probably create more problems, I think that's one thing that they could pick up as well.
Great, thank you, Shudmin. There's a lot of gold nuggets there as well, and thank you for explaining that in details with us. Chris, now let's drive this home closer. I'm going to ask you the same question, but this time I'd like you to connect that closer to your journey, on a personal level.
Okay, so my suggestion for young talents is to develop their curiosity, basically, and just basically for whatever you do, you try to do your best and just asking the question why or how or whatever it is.
Thank you, Krishna. Critical thinking and just showing up and joining, all these related initiatives and events definitely are very, very important. So again, thank you, Krishna. Anne-Marie, final questions. Well, second to the final question before the call to action. So Anne-Marie, how do you see the future of technology as it continues to evolve and gets integrated into our daily lives in general, change the way we live and connect with each other? And as a follow-up question to that, what does this future mean to the millions of young talents in tech today?
I mean, if anybody can tell the future, right? We all want to know. That's where the money and the success, and that's the $1 million question. Is it the 62 million?
Yes, it's the $1 million, billion question.
You can tell the future. I mean, it's a really hard one to tell. I mean, I have my hopes for the future of tech, definitely, and my hopes would be that, like I said, we solve a lot of problems. If we look at the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, if we look at the Millennium Development Goals before then, if we look outside a window, the planet is burning up. Like, there's all different things that are going on. And so my hope for the future of technology would be genuinely, using technology as that tool to solve those problems and improve the quality of life for millions, billions of people around the world. That would be my hope. My hope would also be that, as we've said, I'm really fortunate. I had this really great accelerated learning experience when I was younger, and I was really fortunate that I was given those opportunities. I believe there are a lot of people given the same opportunity, they also would have had the same thing. And so I think that distribution of opportunity, where we don't have that now, would also be amazing if technology allowed for different people, again, to achieve that purpose and work at their own pace and have that personalized formative years in order for them to be able to then, be all that they can be with the right kind of opportunities that aren't defined by where they were born, who they grew up with, what they look like, the color of their skin or the gender that they were. So that's my hope. It's a really big hope, I know, to put on technology, but why not? Why not hope more better for the future rather than worse?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie.
All on the audience's shoulders. No pressure, guys. No pressure.
That is so inspiring, and definitely your hopes for the future have to be our hopes for the future as well, because we are all in this together after all, especially if our goal is to really have equitable access and opportunity to technology, as is the heart of and the purpose of these conversations and of course the events that Huawei is putting up together. So Shudmin, let's go to you. I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you see the future of technology as it continues to evolve and gets integrated into our daily lives and change the way we live and connect with each other? And as a follow-up question, what does that future mean to the millions of young talents today, or specifically if we want to drive that back home to you?
Well, the first image that comes to mind is obviously stuff that stems from sci-fi movies. It's like growing up as a kid, you'd watch these movies and think, oh, we're going to have flying cars and we're going to have this and that and that. Like, everything's going to be automated. Life's going to be so much easier. So I'm not too sure if that's really closely attainable now because of the way things are working. But hey, we can hope, right? Like, one day perhaps with every single policy and fundamentals changing along the way. And I just think that it's going to be utopia if we can reach that. Like, the hope for technology is that it can help us reach utopia. So I believe that since, it's still, there's a lot of problems regarding management and policies, My thoughts for the young talents these days would be to keep looking around and to see what problems exist and to continue working on them and to not leave out anyone in the process.
Very inspiring. Thank you, Shadmin. So kudos to you both for really, putting this conversation in a more really grounded context. And finally, Krishna, we come to you with the same question.
Okay, so I really hope that technology in the future can coexist with human and nature, because nature is beautiful as it is. We have blue skies and we have green rainforest, all of that stuff. I hope that technology are able to sustain those beauty of nature, because if we talk about technological development, for example, ammonia is the chemical that is used to grow plants, but in the same time it also can be used as an explosive. So in this technological development, we have the way to make it useful, but also a way to make it destructive. And my hope for the future is that we as a human can gather up, can collaborate to use technological development only to sustain the life on this planet, not to destroy.
Amazing, simply amazing. Thank you, Krishna. I love that you pointed out a really important aspect of this entire hopes for the future in terms of technology, and that is the existence, in harmony with our Mother Nature, of course. I have one final question, and we go to Anne-Marie first, as always. What would you say to your fellow young talents who are listening right now?
My main bit of advice is always don't do this alone. And you're really, really fortunate that you're on this program, that you have a cohort, you have a ready-made network. You don't have to build that network yourself. My advice is find your tribe and work along with them, learn from them, respect them, share with them, and that will set you up, because whatever job you're going into, whatever startup you're starting, whatever research you want to do, that's how these things get done, and their perspectives help enrich what you learn and what you do. So don't do it alone, and seek forgiveness, not permission, which comes from Grace Hopper, who invented COBOL language. So there's my 2 for 1 there for you all.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Very well said. Shadmin, what would you say to our millions of young talents who are listening to us right now?
So I'd say, keep looking into yourself, keep looking around to the people around you, share your thoughts, like Anne-Marie said. Perhaps your perspective on something might be slightly different from someone else's, and then someone else's, and altogether might just, be the next big thing. And I think, just keep working at it.
Thank you, Shadmi. Wonderful. And Krishna, talk to your fellow young tech geniuses and innovators and creators out there right now. What would you say to them?
Okay, so for whoever young talents out there watching this event, I encourage you to perform your best on whatever you are doing and whatever you believe will bring a lot of benefits and hope to the society, because everything starts small, but as time passes, I can assure you that the world will start to hear about you, and it will start to see your effort, and eventually it will help you achieve your goal.
Thank you, Krishna. And with this, I am so delighted and really honored, to be able to share these conversations with 3 of our speakers. I'd like to thank them again, Anne-Marie, Shadmin, and Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing with us your brilliant insights, your experiences, your journey, and most importantly, your hopes for the future for our young talents and innovators in the tech industry. So with that, I conclude by saying that All this will take is collaboration. Again, the key is collaboration. If we are to establish a world-class standard in cultivating young talents, innovation, and creativity in the ICT industry, it has to be a collaborative venture between the education system that lays down the foundation for talents, the governmental institutions for creating ICT policies that encourages innovation across all levels, and most importantly, ICT companies and the technology industry in general, who provide these young talents real-time opportunities, resources, support system, and robust environments that are all necessary to cultivate, establish, and optimize talent innovation and creativity. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. To my fellow leaders and stakeholders out there across the globe, let us all continue to support and equip the talent of today and tomorrow with the skills and expertise to bring digital access to every person, home, and organization for an equitable, fully connected, intelligent world. Thank you all for joining us.
Well, I want to tell you all that I have read about and watched this program with Huawei, and it is extremely exciting to me, Seeds for the Future. When I was a child, we didn't even have calculators, and what Huawei is doing now is helping and emphasize and incentivizing young people to get involved with technology. I wish that I could have had something like that when I was young. I have 2 teenage children. Neither of them is really that hot on technology, but if you have children or know children that are hot on technology, please, please, please do everything you can to get them into this Huawei program. Since then, it's been in over 500 universities. Several thousand students have been involved. I will tell you, it is extremely exciting. I have learned as a father that if your children are good at something, please push them that way. If you think they should learn Tang Dynasty poems, okay, but if they love technology, please let them pursue technology. When I was young, Zhangxian, we didn't even have calculators. I was good at arithmetic. I could do many things in my head, but everything was with a pencil and a piece of paper. That's all we had. I grew up not in a poor section of America, but even the people in the rich parts of America didn't have much then. Now, they do now, of course. My daughters know more about technology than I do. If I need to do something with my phone, I call my daughter. She's 14. I call her and she shows me what to do. My daughters know much more than I do about technology. First of all, they like it and they love it and they're good at it. This program, this Seeds for the Future program, is a very good example of how to do it. Huawei has, since 2008, I think it started in Thailand, has been encouraging and developing children or young people with technological ability. It's a brilliant, as I said before. No, they're working with the ASEAN countries. There are 600 million people in ASEAN. It will be very good for what Huawei is doing. The whole world should learn about technology. I said when I was young, we didn't even have calculators. We had pencils and pieces of paper. I liked math, but I didn't have much opportunity to develop it. And that's true of many countries. What is happening now all over the world, we're having a technological revolution, and many countries, companies, schools are doing their best to develop it. It doesn't matter whether it's in South America or Africa or Asia, it's happening everywhere in the world. Well, ASEAN, like most countries in the world, or most regions in the world, are now, we all know what's happening with the computer and with the internet and with technology. So most countries are now trying to develop and catch up. So obviously some countries are way ahead, some individuals, some schools are way ahead. But everybody now knows what's happening and everybody is trying to develop. Even the little town where I grew up, the little village, they are teaching it. They have computers and they're trying to teach them about technology. I wish it had happened to me. I wish my children were more interested in technology. Doesn't matter. What Huawei is doing for ASEAN and for other countries is going to help. First, it's certainly going to help Huawei, but it's going to help the world, and it's going to help the students and the schools. Well, on September 2nd, you know, the finalists for this competition, if you want to call it a competition, are all going to gather in Singapore. We will have the best ideas, we will have the best students, and it's going to be a very, very exciting day, if you ask me. I plan to attend, either somehow, because I want to see. This is all changing the world. Huawei's young people are going to change the world and everything we know. I should say Huawei's seeds for the future are going to change the world, and the people involved, especially the good ones, are going to change everything we know. The Seeds for the Future program has been around since 2008, that's 14 years now, and obviously you're having more and more students and former students. A community is developing of people who were involved in the Seeds for the Future program. So they're all going to know each other, they're going to work together with each other, they're going to share ideas. This is a brilliant plan for the world, but it's obviously a brilliant plan for Huawei, but it's obviously a very, very exciting plan for the world. Well, my hope, my dream is that all over the world that more and more students will learn about, especially the ones who are interested and intrigued and talented with technology. They will get involved with the Seeds for the Future program. They will know each other, and they will help develop the development of technology. We all need it, yes. It's been very slow developing in some countries, but this will give an incentive for many people and many companies to develop faster and faster. It is a brilliant plan, and my dream is that this will accelerate. I wish my children were more technologically involved. They're not, so I'm not going to force them. But any child, even if they're in a poor, undeveloped area, this is a great opportunity for young people and for the world. Every young person who sees this or hears about this, to understand that there are now opportunities for them that may not have existed 20 years ago. It did not exist 20 years ago, but this Seeds for the Future program is exciting, and it will give many, many students, young people, maybe they didn't have the opportunity before, maybe they didn't get a chance to get more involved or develop their technological interests. This is great. I did things when I was young that I never thought I could do. I tried, and I did it. Some of you can do it. Do not be afraid to try. Oh my gosh, I wish that I had something like this when I was young. I was not great at technology, but I might have been. I was very good at arithmetic. I love numbers. So who knows if I'd had an opportunity like this. So there are probably lots of you that are young that think, this is not for me, I could not do it. Somebody can do it. I wish I'd had it when I was young so that I could have tried at least. Maybe I would have failed, but maybe I would have made it, because I like arithmetic, and it is a fantastic opportunity for millions of young people to perhaps do something they never would have done otherwise and have great success and happiness. Well, if my daughters find out about this and are interested, I'm going to do everything I can to get them to attend, to compete, to participate. I know that at least one of my daughters is very good at with technology, much better than I am. I tried some things that I thought I couldn't do, and I did it. Many people tried some things they thought they couldn't do, and they did it. And you have huge, huge encouragement and backup from the Seeds for the Future program, so try it. Some of these students will know each other the rest of their lives. Some of them may form companies together, who knows what. But if you put a lot of smart people together, lots of things happen, and it's a very, very good plan to put the young, successful, smart people, interested people together and see what happens. On the last day of the event, September 2nd in Singapore, the top successful people are going to gather. I plan very much to be at that event. I want to meet some of you, talk to some of you. Some of you are going to come out with great companies, great careers, great success, not just for you, but for your friends and for investors and everybody else. See you September 2nd in Singapore.